You can't. You can't. You can't. You can't always have what you want. You can't have your cake and eat it. You can't put the clock back. You can't hurry love. We in Europe, or most of us, will live in the pretty rich part of the world with money for social assistance. It's a pretty expensive system, but most of us will like it. We pay our taxes to provide help to people who need it. In return, when we need assistance, we receive it. But the people also want to control how the government spends that money. So there are limits to that generosity. You can't expect too much. Refugees are definitely people in need. So yes, even in the context of the asylum and refugee crisis, there are limits to what refugees can expect from the governments of Europe. There are limits to generosity. Just like anyone else, if I'm a refugee, I can't take everything for granted. I should be grateful since I'm benefiting from the goodwill of countless people. And also countries with large numbers of refugees will feel that they cannot accept many more. And that's understandable. Politicians, they need to have the support of the host community, or integration will be made much more difficult. So there are limits to generosity. Yep, it can be unpleasant to say or admit it, but we should tell it like it is. Still, that's not the whole story. We should also talk about what refugees can expect. Three things mostly. First, they should expect to be welcomed. There are many millions more people living in horrendous conditions, in danger of war or barbarity, or unable to survive physically. For a million of possible reasons, they have lost the protection from their home country and are therefore refugees. They should be welcomed. It's the human thing to do. And it's also an international commitment and an obligation for our countries. Second, refugees should be welcomed generously. In future years, the numbers of desperate people could easily increase. For sure, Europe could not welcome them all, and it would be naive to think that. But not all of them are coming. 75% of the world's migrants don't even leave their own country. In fact, more than 80% of the world's refugees today live in countries with much less money than in Europe, and far greater numbers of refugees to deal with. And where European nations have accepted disproportionately low numbers of refugees, this should be challenged. It's not enough just to say that the population is not happy, or to play the populist card in the name of a nation. Doing nothing, or doing very little, and expect other nations to take on the task instead, that's wrong. There is a limit to other countries' generosity too. You can't ignore countless desperate people. You can't throw back refugees into the sea. And third, refugees should be welcomed generously and in fairness. They have a right to a swift processing of their asylum claim. As soon as possible, we should encourage them to contribute to the well-being of their new country. There's no point in forcing them to do that, of course, but like everyone, they need self-respect and to know that they can become less dependent. Refugees can become partners, friends, show goodwill, as well as successful recovery and integration. There you have it.